So this morning I'm going to try and do a couple of things at once. I'm going to quickly respond to Volknit and Hippodrones, who both, I'm pretty sure, nominated me in the 3x3 challenge. I can't remember, and I'm not sure if anybody else has, but if they have, thank you. And I'm also going to try and respond to Tim Kreitz's video, Are Motovloggers Insane or Mad or whatever it was. Because with me it's sort of, there's a link there. So the link is creativity. So I guess, I don't know, which one should I start? The 3x3, I'm supposed to tell you 3 things you didn't know about me. Well, it's kind of 3 parts of one thing. It'd be how I almost didn't make it to Australia. And how it was a bloody miracle I did really make it. So the first reason for that was I basically knew I was coming here. I was coming here for supposedly a year on tour with my brother's band. I pretty much knew I would want to stay forever, even before I got here. Anyway, so I'd gone back from London, where I lived, to Belfast to say goodbye to my family, etc. Come back to London for one night, just have a little farewell shindig with all my mates and some of my best friends. And my flight to leave for Australia was on Air India at 6:30 in the morning, I believe. At least that's when I had to get on the plane or whatever. At least that's when I had to board by. I think that's what it was. Anyway, at about 4 AM in the middle of this party, I discovered I had lost my passport. Now this was terrible. So, hoping that I'd lost it on the airplane from Belfast to London, I phoned up British Airways. They said, yeah, you did. I said, great, where is it? And they said, it went on the plane till, I think it was Copenhagen. And it was fine there. So I was freaking, and I just said, what do I do? And they said, oh, just go to Heathrow and get in the queue. Pretty sure we'll get it to you. And I'm thinking, really? So I did. I went to Heathrow with a couple of my best friends who saw me off, and got on the queue, which basically went all the way around the terminal. It was a massive queue. Anyway, I stood in this queue for ages until I was actually next to go up to the counter. I was next up, and I was absolutely shitting myself by that time. Right there, the British Airways pilot walked up to me, looked in the passport, looked at me and went, here you are, sir. And gave me my passport. Okay, so that was one way I nearly didn't get here. The other way I nearly didn't get here was I then, after hugging this guy and wanting to marry him, but, you know, I was just very grateful to this pilot for bringing me my passport. After that, I then proceeded to the checkout counter, took my couple of suitcases, 2 guitars, amplifier, bag of leads and cables, stands, all of that. On the scales, and the little woman from Air India said, oh my goodness, sir, you are 180 kilos overweight. And I thought, yeah, okay, so what does that mean? She said, we normally charge you £10 a kilo. And I stood there, and my brain quickly told me I needed £1,800 to get on the plane. So I obviously didn't have it, and like an idiot I started fumbling in my pockets for the £1,800 that wasn't there. And she looked at me with great pity in her eyes and just said, oh my goodness, sir, just get on the plane, you'll be fine. So got past that. Now the next bit is a bit sort of complicated as to how I made it here. Basically, I mean, I was only 25 or 6, I think. But I was a bit dumb, seriously, about certain things. I'm sure of it. I mean, the older you get, the dumber you were when you were younger. But anyway, the one thing that happened was, like, my brother had left about 5-6 months earlier to go to Japan and promote our latest recording and do a few other things. But he said to me, meet me in Australia in August. So I arranged to go to Australia in August. So off I went. It was about a 36-hour flight. After about 31 hours on various stops at every hole in the hedge, they announced on the speakers that we were now crossing the coast of Australia. So, like an idiot, I stood up and started looking for my luggage out of the, the overhead locker. And the little stewardess came to me and said, "Oh no, sir, no, you've got 5 hours more till we get to Sydney." At which point I just thought, okay, I've been following the advice I had, which was not to drink on long haul flights. I'm now bored shitless and have 5 more hours. So I said, "Oh, thank you. Can you please just start bringing me whiskey?" So they did. Very nice. They were lovely, actually, the Air India crew. They were very nice people. So they brought me whiskey, and I basically got shit-faced and got poured off the plane with my 180 kilos extra luggage at Sydney Airport, drunk at 6 a.m. Now this is when it started to dawn on me that I hadn't gone much further than meet me in Australia in August with my brother. So I'm in a country I've never been in before. I've got a shitload of luggage and I'm drunk at 6 a.m. and I'm standing in a queue for customs. I'm starting to think, really should have thought this out better. So I looked across and there were several other queues from other airlines that had just come in. And in the queue next to me, from Japanese airline, was my brother. Can you believe it? We said, meet in Australia in August, and we arrived within minutes of each other. So, yep, that was it. I arrived in Australia. There are many more stories to tell about that. But there's the 3 things about me. 3 ways I almost didn't make it properly to Australia. Now, how do I link that with Tim Kreitz? Tim Kreitz was basically did this wonderful vlog where he discussed, why us YouTubers do what we're doing. And, he was very frank and honest about himself. And, probably judged himself quite harshly about whether he did it, for egotistic needs. And it's very interesting because, pretty much I agree with what he said a lot. And he really did some self-analysis and went very deeply into it. Very intelligent man, does very interesting stuff. But it sort of links to me being a musician. So my slant on the whole thing was, I started being a musician when I was about 14. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to get the girls. I wanted to be the best bass guitarist there was, and I worked very hard towards that. And got pretty close, I'm sure. But by the time I was 18, I was just over playing other people's music, what they call cover bands I was in. So I made the choice then between making money or making music for love. I left Ireland, where I could have stayed in cover bands and played any sort of country and western or rock, and made money. And went to London, joined a really alternative band. Now this is 1978, so it was just the end of punk, start of new wave. So it was a good time in London for being in something creative that was original and not just pop. So, yep, was in a band called Junta for a couple of years, just did that. After that, I created my own studio, which I've had ever since. I've always had a recording studio, so I can just jump in and record whatever I want. But I've always done my own music, I swore off doing covers when I was 18. I've done maybe 1 or 2 since in all those years. And the reason is, because it's a creative pursuit and I do it for my own pleasure more than anything else. Yes, there is an egotistic reward, working so hard and playing the bass and then writing, very creative bass lines meant that I'd come off stage and I'd have a queue of bass players wanting to talk to me about my technique, about my guitar, everything else. So, there was definitely a reward to my ego from all of that. But essentially I loved what I was doing. And I remember somebody telling me very early on in my music life, that if an entertainer isn't enjoying it, then the people watching them can't enjoy it either. And it's very true in any sort of creative pursuit. You know, and I have noticed from my time playing in covers bands and just being over it and just standing up on stage and going through the motions, nobody would watch me, nobody would come and talk to me afterwards. When I was really enjoying it, it was like having an entirely different reaction from people. They'd be smiling, watching me, smiling, enjoying it, dancing, whatever. And it's the same with motovlogs. If you don't enjoy it, no matter how sensational or over the top you are with your presentation, the viewer isn't going to enjoy it either. So, yeah, essentially, it would be great to be a bit, you know, a bit of a bigger channel, more following, or would it? I don't know. Would I like that really? I'm actually not sure. I enjoy what I have. I remember when 50 people watched one of my videos, I was blown away. This is way back at the start. I'm still blown away by every person who watches my video. If they comment, even better. It's incredible. We get to engage with each other. We get to see what people think. Even bad stuff doesn't matter. Just any sort of engagement, reaction is really good. So, yes, motovloggers are mad in a way. I mean, I generally think we're all out there on the, what do they call it? Shit. The spectrum. I think we're all out there on the spectrum, as they like to say these days. The autistic spectrum generally involves people higher either in intelligence or creativity or both. And I think those people who are in it just for their ego and, you know, think, you know, they've looked at Baron von Grumble or RJ a couple of years ago and went, wow, I can get on there and get millions of views, and just expected it to happen. I mean, I have seen some pathetic examples. They haven't even put any effort in, just they thought, I'll just put any old thing up and I'll be famous. But anyway, the people expecting that come and go. Some of them will make a quick hit out of something viral with a bit of clickbait or enough crashes, but they come and go. The people I've been following who I genuinely like have been there all along. Sometimes they take breaks, which is really essential when you're doing something creative. You can't just keep churning it out, but they're still there. So anyway, that's I've probably burbled on far too long. And by the way, I'm riding into a cyclone. Yeah, we've been in a big cyclone situation where the entire eastern half of Australia just about has had severe weather warnings. And I noticed on the radar there's two big storms, cyclone to the north, big storm to the south. I noticed that the big waves, you know, that sort of, what do you call it? It's like a propeller going around, that the big band of rain from each one had passed and there was a gap. That could be about to end. Anyway, thanks for watching. Ride safe. I'll see you on the next one.